UConn has 3 open scholarship spots. So here's the question. Do you use one on a simple shooter replacement? Or do you go star hunting for a portal player who could completely reshape the offense? Because this is where it gets spicy. UConn is coming off a 38-1 season, a 25th Final Four appearance, and the roster is still terrifying. Azzi Fudd even said, "I fear for every team in the country that's going to have to play this team next year." So if Geno takes anyone, it's not about desperation. It's about finding the one portal fit that actually makes championship sense. And I've got 5 names that make this a real debate.
Prime Field.
What's good, everybody? Today we're breaking down the 5 portal fits that make the most sense for UConn, and I'm not ranking the biggest stars in a vacuum. I'm asking a tougher question. Who actually fits UConn basketball? That means roster math, shooting, usage, defense, lineup flexibility, and yes, whether a player's numbers would translate inside a team that already has elite structure. So here's the roadmap. First we'll talk about the cleanest fit, then the biggest swing, then the march riser, then the connector piece. And at the end, I'll tell you the one player I think makes the most sense, and the one player that would create the biggest internet war in the comments. If you're building the case for the most UConn-like portal edition, Jordan Lee is probably where most fans start. Why? Because the profile is easy to understand. Experienced scorer, proven defender, contender-tested shooter. Lee averaged 13.2 points per game, shot 34.8% from 3 on 5.3 attempts, added 1.5 steals, and led Texas with 72 made threes. That matters, because if UConn used the portal, the expectation is probably not find someone to dominate the ball. It's find someone who can replace some of Azzi Fudd's go-to shooting gravity without hijacking the offense. And Jordan Lee checks that box almost perfectly. She also comes with Final Four level context. Texas went 35-4, had a net of 4, and a return to the Final Four. So this is not empty calorie production. This is a player who contributed on a real title-level team, and that's why Charlie Krim calling her portal entry one of the more shocking transfer portal announcements hits. Players like this do not just pop loose every day. Now the debate part. Is she enough of a creator if games get ugly late in March? Because at UConn, fit is great, but sometimes your best portal take is the player who solves the hardest problem, not the easiest one. Still, if you want the least messy, most believable, most plug-and-play answer, Jordan Lee might be the name. Liv McGill is a portal argument that can split a fan base in half. On pure production, she is ridiculous. 22.5 points, 6.1 rebounds, 6.3 assists, 2.6 steals. ESPN noted she was the only player in the country to average 20-plus points, 6-plus rebounds, and 6-plus assists. That is not good portal player stuff. That is entire offense runs through me stuff. So here's the case for UConn. What happens when you drop that level of shot creation into an already elite system? What happens when a defense can't load up on one star because now there's another guard who can get into the paint, create late clock offense, and collapse coverages? That's terrifying. But here's the case against it. UConn doesn't really need another primary ball handler, and sometimes the hardest fit in basketball is taking a player who has to touch the ball constantly and asking her to thrive in a rhythm, spacing, read and react ecosystem where everybody eats. Florida went 18-15 and missed the NCAA tournament despite McGill's huge production with a net of 48. That does not mean she's not elite. It just means the question becomes even more important. Are those monster numbers portable to a contender where usage drops? That's what makes this such a great debate fit. Because if you believe talent wins out, McGill is absolutely worth the swing. If you believe UConn should protect its offensive balance, you probably pass. My take? She's the highest upside option on this list, also the one most likely to turn the team into something different. Kimora Johnson feels like the player whose stock exploded because fans saw her do it when it mattered most. She posted about 19.5 points per game and 6.3 assists, and then gave you the money clip. 28 points in Virginia's 83-75 double overtime upset of number 2 seed Iowa to reach the Sweet 16. That is instant debate video material. And listen to the quote after that game from Virginia head coach Amaka Aguga Hamilton. "We were just so resilient in this game. We just did not get rattled. That matters because when you think about UConn additions, toughness and poise are not side traits. They're the whole evaluation. Virginia finished 22-12 with a net of 37, so Johnson isn't coming from a bottom-tier situation. There's real substance here. What I like about her for UConn is that she gives you some of the creation intrigue of McGill without quite as much "this offense must revolve around me" energy. She feels more scalable, more adaptable. Now, could she become a higher usage scorer on a different team? Absolutely. But at UConn, the appeal is that she's already shown she can handle pressure, make plays, and have a signature postseason moment. If you're a fan who values March translation, Kimora might be your number one choice. Let's talk about the two names that feel the most Geno would actually do this. Addie Brown first. She averaged 11.9 points, 8.8 rebounds, 5.3 assists, and shot 33.8% from three. That's a classic connector stat line. Not just scoring, not just passing, not just rebounding, everything. And UConn has historically loved players who don't stop the ball, who read the game quickly, who can guard up a position, rebound in traffic, and keep the offense humming. That's Brown. Iowa State to Madrid went 22-10 with a net of 34, and her missed time was repeatedly framed as a major factor in how the Cyclones looked. That tells you she moves the ecosystem, even if she's not dropping 22 a game. So if UConn wants a player who adds value without demanding the spotlight, Brown is maybe the best fit on the board. Now flip to Madison St. Rose. This one is fascinating because it's the cleanest veteran bucket option. St. Rose averaged 15.8 points per game, earned first-team All-Ivy, and has 1 year left because of a medical redshirt situation and Ivy League grad rules. She's available, experienced, and likely very motivated. Princeton went 26-4 with a net of 38, and while they lost in the first round to Oklahoma State, this is still a player coming from a winning, disciplined, high IQ environment. That sounds pretty UConn to me. And if Geno really is as selective about portal fits as we think, St. Rose has the kind of low-drama, high-feel game that coaches trust fast. So here's how I'd phrase it. Jordan Lee's safest shooter and defender fit, Liv McGill biggest superstar swing. Kimora Johnson March resume and creator blend. Addie Brown ultimate connector. Madison St. Rose smartest veteran scoring patch. And honestly, the fact that these are such different archetypes tells you what UConn's portal decision really is. It's not just who's best, it's what problem are they trying to solve. If I'm predicting the most sensible fit, I'm leaning Jordan Lee. Because she checks the cleanest roster box. Shooting, defense, contender resume, no obvious style clash. But if I'm predicting the player who would create the most dangerous version of UConn if it works, that's Liv McGill. And it's not close. That's the ceiling play. The let's see if elite creation can make a juggernaut unfair play. My dark horse, though, Addie Brown. Because in a lot of championship teams, the portal addition that matters most isn't always the loudest name. It's the player who lets everybody else become even more themselves. And one more wrinkle here. Geno himself has been blunt about the portal, saying, the portal and the revenue share is the death of the mid-majors and the death of high school players coming to play college basketball. So if UConn takes someone, it won't be for headlines. It'll be because the fit is undeniable. That's why this conversation matters. So now I'm throwing it to you. If UConn takes one a portal player, who should it be? Jordan Lee for fit, Liv McGill for upside, Kimora for March juice, Addie Brown for lineup glue, Madison St. Rose for the clean veteran scoring bet? Drop your pick in the comments and more importantly, tell me why. Subscribe if you want more women's hoops breakdowns like this, because portal season is chaos, and we are absolutely tracking all of it. And on your way out, hit the poll. Does UConn need a portal star or just a portal fit?
Prime Field